State of the Sun Devils with Jeremy Schnell, Jesse Morrison, and Damon Allred.
An Arizona Sports Podcast.
Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils alongside Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred. I'm Jeremy Schnell. At 27-24 victory for ASU. Could have been by more, but they'll take it, right, guys? 3 turnovers. You would think that they could possibly win by more, but hey, Jesus Gomez winning field goal sounds pretty good, guys, especially after what we've seen over the past couple of years at the kicking game.
Yeah, really good performance from Jesus Gomez, and ASU has totally fixed the problem from last year. The biggest problem from last year's team, which was they couldn't make any field goals. And so far this season, 9 for 10 from Jesus Gomez. The only one he hasn't made was from beyond 50 yards. And yeah, he comes through in the clutch against Baylor, supposed to be one of the best teams in the Big 12. And ASU comes away with the big victory. You've got to be happy with 3-1, 1-0 in the Big 12.
Dating back to the beginning of last season, ASU is now 12-0 when they win the turnover battle. That's undefeated.
Yeah. And what's the kicking stat, Damon? Give it. Let's hear it.
So he mentioned Jesus was 9 for 10 so far this season now. Last year, ASU was 11 for 20 on field goals. So that means in less than a third of the games so far, Jesus has nearly matched the makes already.
And it shows that Kenny Dillingham trusts his kicker, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about this before we came on the show, guys, and we did the podcast. Jesus Gomez has totally changed the way ASU can play now. Mm-hmm. Last season, ASU and the year before, Kenny Dillingham would always go for it. It didn't matter. Most situations, it would be a 38-yard field goal, a 40-yard field goal, wouldn't matter. And Kenny Dillingham would go for it on 4th and 7, 4th and 8.
Because they had to get every advantage possible.
Now they had 3 field goals in the second half to help them win the game, guys.
It's like as soon as you cross the 40, you're in scoring position at that point.
Yeah, and what ASU was able to do in this game is something that we see a lot with NFL teams, because the vast majority of NFL teams have incredible kickers. I mean, they're the top of the cream of the crop as far as the kicking position goes. And
you get past midfield, though. If you're the Cowboys, you just kick it.
Exactly. You get past midfield for the Cowboys, you just kick it and you win because Brandon Aubrey's that good. ASU has that ability now, which you saw against Baylor tonight. They go down the field, and instead of having to get into the end zone for a touchdown because you're not sure if your kicker is going to make it, they can actually kind of just burn clock and let Jesus Gomez kick a pretty long field goal. I mean, it was a 43-yarder.
This might be a topic of discussion for another day, but do we think Jesus is the most impactful newcomer for this team?
Wow.
I'm trying to think. I think so. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what ASU's defense did today in terms of forcing turnovers.
Bogey Wilson, is that where you're going?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he,
forced one and recovered another fumble.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good, but he hasn't made an impact in as many games yet as Jesus has. So I'm going to say Jesus is their most impactful newcomer so far. Unless you want to count Ralik. I know he played a little bit last year.
He's not a newcomer. I do not count him.
But I know, but he's basically a newcomer. If you want to put an asterisk on it, you can kind of slide him in there.
It's kind of like last year. You technically, you could have said Jordan Tyson.
That's kind of the point I was making. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jesus. He's been great so far.
All right, let's get to the offense a little bit. Sam Levitt in the second half, he passed the ball around a little bit more. Who was the leading receiver today, guys? Was it
yards wise,
was
not
it
catch wise?
Malik McClain?
Nope.
Was it Jordan Tyson?
Nope.
No.
Was it
surprisingly?
Wait, Derek Eusebio.
Where did he come from?
Yeah.
Jesse, vindicated.
Yeah, I've been praising this guy for over a year. We finally saw him do something. Look, I thought he might have an impact on the team last year. He was obviously deep on the depth chart, but he came in against U of A, had a big touchdown against U of A, and then today was really his breakout game when it mattered, when he was not playing in garbage time today. This was he made perhaps the biggest play of the game on that big reception across the middle. And then he had,
besides the game-winning field goal, obviously.
yeah. Besides that, and then he had, another reception, and then he looked pretty good on a couple of jet sweeps that they ran for him. So
getting him involved, good to see.
He might be their number 2 receiver. We haven't seen too much from Jaron Hamilton and Malik McClain. We even saw Malik McClain finally catch a pass today.
He caught one in the opener.
Yeah, but he finally caught a meaningful reception today, and it looked like Sam was just so thankful that he finally had caught a pass, and they were able to get on the same page. So I think Sam is a little bit more on the same page with Derek than Jaron and Malik. So I think that they might have found their number 2 and diminutive slot guy, Derek Eusebio.
Yeah, and I mean, we can look at Sam's numbers now. That 61-yard reception and the touchdown by Tyson later in that drive make Sam's numbers look better on the day. Obviously, rushing yards and everything like that were great from Sam today. But in the
sneak going again.
In the second half, there were plays that you saw from Sam Levitt that you're like, oh, there he is, right? Because last year we saw it a lot toward the end of the season. He was so consistent and making consistently great throws, great plays, great reads. It was head scratching in the first 3 games of the season. Now he was fine last week. He didn't have the best game ever, but he was good. This week in the second half, you saw plays that made you say, okay, that's what ASU fans have been waiting for, especially that play down the sideline to Shimon Mateer, where he made the read and passed it over a couple of defenders to get it to Shimon Mateer. That's when I looked at you, Damon, and we said, okay, there he is, right?
Yeah.
I thought the second half was much better from Sam Levitt today.
I think it's going to be huge over the next few weeks, especially as they go through this stretch of facing every contender in the Big 12. I think that Sam really just needs to improve upon each week, and I think he's kind of started to do that since the Mississippi State game, where there was a really bad first half. It looked a bit better in the second half. Texas State game looks better than that. And then today, parts of today looked better than the Texas State game as well. So I think if he can just kind of get that progression going again to where he's consistently improving. You mentioned the consistency of last year. If you just get the consistency of improving game after game, by the end of the season, he's going to be right back to where he was for the Big 12 title game, if not better. And really, I just think that a lot of today comes down to the defense as well. We mentioned a little bit with Boogie Wilson already, but Keith Abney, the diving interception he had, holding Baylor, which is one of the most prolific offenses in the country, to just 10 points for most of the game. I think it was up until the fourth quarter, they had 10 points. And the 24 that they finished with is tied for their season low that Auburn held them to. So I think that the defense of ASU is just in a really good spot. I mean, obviously you don't want to give up the touchdowns that they gave up in the fourth quarter. But
yeah, we'll get to that for sure.
To be able to put yourself in a good enough position over the first 3 quarters where that doesn't matter as much, at least because you have Jesus, that's huge.
Yeah, I want to get into defense too, but I did want to comment on Levitt real quick. I think that he doesn't look like a Heisman candidate. I don't even know if he looks like an NFL draft pick right now, but what he looks like is a good college quarterback that can win college football games. And as much as I love to see these ASU guys go on to have success in the pros, what I'm focused on right now is this ASU team and this ASU season. Obviously, it's my job to cover them. And so, seeing what he did tonight against Baylor showed me that he can be a good college quarterback that wins games. And, he's got the potential still to be that great college quarterback, Heisman candidate. But right now he's just shown that he's better than the vast majority of ASU quarterbacks that we've seen in the past 10 years.
It was really cool to see that he was, I think, the first person to be celebrating with Jesus as well after that. Just enjoying the team atmosphere. I think that this was a huge win for the team from that standpoint.
And so now getting to defense, Damon, you touched on the 3 turnovers and giving up 24 points. That's tied for the least amount of points that Baylor has scored this season, you said. But I want to look a little deeper into the late game scenarios, into what ASU is doing on defense and the play calling. I'm just not too sure what they're doing on the 3rd and longs and the 4th and longs. In terms of the play call on 3rd and 22, why are the linebackers not playing deeper? Why are they giving so much cushion, not giving more cushion to the receivers and playing the sticks? The ball was caught.
Coaching.
The ball was caught between the linebackers and the defensive backs. And that made it easy for the Baylor player to get the first down, which led to the ensuing play, which was a touchdown. ASU has a problem when it comes to late game play calling on defense. And we saw it in the Peach Bowl. We saw it in the Mississippi State game, and it reared its ugly head again, which almost led to ASU having to go on the road and play an overtime game today.
Okay, but they didn't. That was my point. And I mean, it's just something that Brian Ward, defensive coordinator for ASU, needs to just watch the film and I guess not be stubborn with his calls anymore. It seems like he's a little bit stubborn with his calls and, not run those defenses that allow those. But like, I think it's a bit nitpicky in this game to point out, they allowed a couple of big plays. They held a very good offense to 24 points, held them to 10 for the vast majority of the game. And, there were a couple letdowns, but there's going to be a couple bad plays by a defense in most games, unless you're playing, an FCS school. And even in an FCS school, sometimes you see some plays let up. So I think that ASU should just be happy with the fact that they came away with a win. They're 3-1 and overall they're 1-0 in the Big 12. Last year they were 3-1 and 0-1 in the Big 12. So you could debate that even though it hasn't looked as pretty, that they're off to a better start than they were last year. So I mean, I just don't think that we should focus on those like negative plays right now, because they're 3-1 and 1-0 in the Big 12, held one of the best offenses, 24 points, forced 3 turnovers.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Keith Abney, what a play. What a pick.
And I'm not taking anything away from Keith Abney.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying.
Anything away from Boogie Wilson, who had an outstanding game today, forcing the 2 turnovers, or forcing 1 turnover and recovering another fumble. But it is a pattern at this point. And it's something I would like to see fixed. I would have liked to see fixed before the season even started.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you to the point that, like, yes, it does need to be fixed. But after this game, I think the biggest takeaway is 3-1, 1 on the Big 12.
Yes. Damon, are you concerned at all about what you're seeing on the defensive play calling? Or I
think you have to be at least a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
But again, not taking anything away from how the defense performed as a whole throughout the entire game.
I don't think that it's smart to kind of say that, you're happy with where you're at in general. I just think that you always want to be pushing that standard higher. Yeah. And when you are getting nitpicky, that's the sign of a good team that can be great. And so I think that the fact that we are honing in on these things is evidence that ASU has the potential to be what we all thought coming into the season. I just think that they're not there yet, and we can call them out on the ways that they're not there yet. And I think that they have all the capabilities of getting where we think they can get as well.
I want to talk about the running game before we get out of here, guys. Not the game we were expecting, obviously, with Baylor having one of the worst rushing defenses in Power 4 college football. Mm-hmm. Raleek Brown, not his best game by far.
But still solid.
Just a solid 21 carries. He got the bulk of the carries. When you get a lot of carries like that, you're going to get some yards, especially with his speed and vision and everything like that.
He was getting to the corner really well, especially earlier in the game.
For sure. Kanye Udo, another clunker of a game out there. And then Kyson Brown, obviously, we don't want to speculate.
He just wasn't fully 100%.
Yeah, it was like conditioning-wise, wasn't ready to have the bulk of the carries today.
4 touches, 9 total yards.
Yeah,
it's not what we're used to from him.
The running game was helped out by Levitt's long carry that was spectacular, by the way. Like, juking out a couple of defenders was awesome. But you would like to see more from this team. Again, they won the game, not taking that away from them. Would like to see more from the running game.
Yeah, rushing game was okay today. Like, again, Raleek, 21 carries, 80 yards. That's less than 4 yards a carry. I thought that he would have a much bigger game than that. Little disappointed so far with Kanye Udo, other than that second half against Mississippi State. He's kind of not done much. He did have a 19-yard run against NAU for what it's worth, but Yeah, so far I've been a little bit disappointed. He was, kind of a big time transfer get for ASU. And, even dating back to fall camp, Damon was like, yeah, he might be RB3.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's a tough adjustment to make going from Army to this offense.
For sure.
And he plays on third down sometimes, so it's not like he can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's an adjustment where you're like, oh, he didn't play on passing downs at all in Army. He can't do it. Like you've seen him out there. I think it's more of a testament to what we're seeing on the offensive line, and it showed a little bit in the running game today, and not as much in the passing game, because I think Sam only took 1 or 2 sacks. I want to say definitely took the one where you're like throw it away, but the offensive line, especially on the goal line carry that Kanye Udo got, where there were 2
sacks, 9 yards for ASU.
Yeah, so. On the goal line carry for Kanye Udo, where specifically there were 2 defenders that surrounded him right as he got the ball. I'm like, okay, are they running the wrong schemes on the offensive line for the play that the defense is running? Or is the offensive line just whiffing on players? And I mean, that's something that is going to show up on film, and they're going to have to adjust.
It's not even just the pass plays, though, adjusting from that sense. It's also just like Army runs a triple option, and the run plays that ASU runs are not triple option plays. And so, like, even just fitting into that aspect alone, it's a huge difference. And so I think that he deserves a little bit of grace for,
I mean, you saw him in the Mississippi State game. He's good.
Flashed, yeah. I mean, he's got
and
the capability.
He had the long run, like you said, in the NAU game, Jesse. But yeah, what were you going to say, Jesse?
I just think that, again, I want to emphasize 3-1, 1-0 in the Big 12.
Yes.
But I just think that today was against such a weak rush defense. Like last year when ASU would go up against these weak rush defenses, it was just like, okay, there's nobody that's going to stop Scadaboo. Today was a really good game for those people that are out there that say ASU doesn't have Scadaboo anymore. That's going to be a really big problem. I think that was something that showed today is like, if they had Scadaboo, I think this would have been a little bit of an easier win for ASU.
Something that they've got to fix, but something that they have to fix in a short week.
Yep.
They got to play TCU, who looks really good to start the season. Obviously beating SMU today, who, what a fall from grace after winning a bunch of games last year and making it to the playoff. Not looking good, as good this season, but TCU coming into this game on a roll right now. ASU is going to have their hands full on Friday, guys. No pregame show for us on ESPN 620. You'll be able to hear Jeff Munn and all of them starting at 3:30, I want to say, on ESPN 620. And Burns and Gambo will be leading up to the game as well before the Diamondbacks game, and they'll be covering a lot of stuff ASU on there. I wanted to point out also volleyball won 3-0 today against GCU crosstown rivals. Molly Miller was there. I wonder why. Interesting match for her.
Ties with GCU?
I don't know, maybe. Interesting match for her to show up for. But
great start to the season for volleyball.
Great turnout.
Great turnout. There was like 5,000 fans there, about 5,000 fans. And I think because we've been doing so much, pregame show, postgame show of football, we haven't even mentioned that, other than on our Twitter account, that just that win over Penn State a few weeks ago, which was incredible, defending national champions. So the volleyball season, JJ Van Neel's got his team looking great. So that's been awesome to see so far this fall as well.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with what the volleyball team is doing, and awesome to see Molly Miller there supporting supporting ASU. I wonder why. Weird. Anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Thank you so much for listening and watching. You can find us on all forms of social media at AZ Sports Devils. For Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred, I'm Jeremy Schnell. We'll talk to you soon.